This. Hey, everybody. We are back for another podcast called EOS in Action. I'm Charlie Ray, EOS implementer. I'm super excited to be interviewing two of my great friends and my client, John and Carolyn. Super excited for y'all to be here with Selah Financial Services down there in Houston, Texas. And it's going to be a great day. So, why don't you guys give a quick background in terms of who you are, specifically your seat in the company, and tell us a little bit about Sela.
Yeah, so I'm John, and I'm the visionary here at Selah Financial Services and one of the owners of our company. And really, we're about champion client streams. We work in the retirement space, helping people close to retirement make decisions to help them live the dreams they were reaching for, and really not just attaining the dreams, but really championing them for them by creating those personalized financial plans. And so that's who we are. And my role as the visionary is I'm really just making sure that we are heading in the right direction. I look to find the opportunities that sit in front of us, or any challenges that may be coming forward. So that's a little bit about who we are and what I do in my seat as visionary.
Awesome. Yeah. And it's been such a journey seeing you develop and grow in that seat and being able to, again, just help cast the vision for the company too. So Carolyn, tell us a little bit about who you are and your seat.
I'm Carolyn Herrington. I've been with Selah for about 5 years. I sit in the integrator seat. And so for my integrator role, I work alongside with John and really just kind of uh, pioneer whatever he's looking for. He takes the vision and he trickles it down to what he wants to do. And we filter through all of his visions that he has and really see what the company really needs to utilize to move forward. And so I take that and then we put that into practice within the company.
Yes, awesome. So John causes the chaos and you execute. You take all the ideas and you take the one good one and you bring it down to the ground and you execute. And it's been super fun. Why are you guys here today? Why are we having a conversation? Why did you decide to jump in and want to kind of share your story a little bit?
Well, I think we're here because, to talk through EOS and the difference it's made for us. I mean, coming in to using EOS has been a little over a year now. I think a year and a quarter, year and 2 quarters, maybe. Um, and it's been such a difference maker for us, and working with you as our implementer has really helped us escalate our ability to utilize EOS and make traction within our company itself, not within just the leadership team, but our greater company as well. So I think that's what brought us here today, is just to talk through what difference EOS has made for us in our company. I think at the end of the day, it's something that myself and one of our other owners, Sharon Duncan, we've heard a lot about EOS through the years through Strategic Coach or Vistage worldwide, very common in those two avenues. Um, and it just was a confluence of timing with our ability to and desire to take the next step as a company, and our connection to you kind of happened at a God appointed time
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
lead to the success that we're here for.
Yeah, it was. Let's kind of take it back though, because you guys are very, now having known y'all for a while, you're very smart and very growth-minded clients, and y'all are very capable of self-implementing and doing this, like reading the book, applying the principles, and doing it yourselves. And so, take us back a little bit about to the moment when, before the 90-minute meeting, and John, you and I were having a conversation, and you were just interested. I know you had said you had heard about it with your friends in Vistage, and then obviously Strategic Coach is a great program as well. So that you had been familiar with it, but why did y'all decide to actually move forward with EOS? And then specifically, why did you decide to go use a facilitator instead of just saying, "Hey, we're gonna pull up our own bootstraps and do it ourselves"?
Well, I think what led us to EOS itself to begin with, before our relationship with you, Charlie, was the desire, we were just drowning in a prioritization nightmare.
Mm,
We have a large team. We've got 19 on our team, which is really big for financial services. We've always had that growth mindset. We've always had our annual goals. We didn't break it down into at the quarterly level, but we were ready to bring in a system. What really resonated with me in the EOS world was when Gino Whitman talks about every company has an operating system,
yeah.
and you should commit to one operating system. And that
Mm,
really struck a chord with me because if we have that operating system, that's what leads to long-term success. And for the greater good of not only our company and the 19 of us that work here on our team, but the 700 plus families we serve, we owe it to them to be the best company we can possibly be.
yeah.
And that's what really led us to the framework of EOS. Having read the Traction book, was our first introduction really into EOS. It made a lot of sense, but um, and we probably read that 2 or 3 years before we became connected. But we always felt our company wasn't quite ready yet. And then when we met you was that moment where we felt we were at that point. We had a really strong team in place. We just needed a more defined framework in which to follow. And the EOS model is, I've seen it be successful in many companies in my Vistage group. Sharon's seen it at many levels in her strategic coach group, and decided that we needed to commit to a system, a form of communication in which we can all use the same language from myself in the owner seat to our receptionist to our other financial advisors, to a marketing and sales. We could all use a similar languaging,
Yeah.
and that would bring us to the next level. So that's really what brought us to EOS. Like I said, it was a confluence of timing. We met you about that same point in time through an introduction through our recruiter, who I know is a really good friend of yours.
Yep. Shout
And
out JC Ogden. Awesome dude.
he's fantastic, and so it really was that serendipitous timing in that
Yeah.
relationship. But the reason we decided to use a facilitator or implementer when it came to EOS is, one of our core beliefs, and one of the things that makes us unique in not only the financial services world, but I think in a lot of business sense, is understanding the power of a specialist and working with a team of specialists. We know what we do really well. I know what I do really well, and I know what we don't do really well. And let's find the person who has that strength in which we do not. And we wanted to partner with you specifically because as a facilitator, you've seen companies, you've experienced the companies, you can guide us through any pitfalls or challenges we may have, and to help us create a greater level of efficiency in implementation, which means we can get up and running quicker, leading to success and really streamlining at a much quicker pace. And so having somebody who's just trailed the blaze the trail before you is so powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. I open up to Carolyn here, but just a couple side comments on this. It's so interesting because, the EOS Creed, if y'all remember from the journey we did in our focus day, it's like you cannot build a business off of multiple operating systems. You must choose one. And the simplicity of that is saying this is not flavor of the month. This is not, oh, we read this book, we're going to try this, and then next month we're going to do this. And then you're just kind of like, organizational whiplash. You're like, we have one operating system, and so y'all were already getting primed for that. You had read the book, you resonated with structure, you had resonated with a framework, a roadmap. I mean, it is very clear structure. There's a timing and a place for everything in terms of the journey. And then also the same language, right? So, like, I don't know, Carolyn, maybe if you want to chime in here on some of that, like the same language, having this common language is so important for a team to be effective. And y'all were already a healthy, close team, but now y'all have seen the enhancement of that and the speed and the depth at which y'all have been able to execute using an outside source, a specialist. So, any thoughts from your side, Carolyn, on just kind of like why did you decide to go in and what was your input?
Um, my input from the very, very beginning was I was a little skeptical. I didn't have the background that John had as far as
Yeah.
hearing about EOS and through all these different things. He's had years in this industry and I haven't. And I was kind of going, oh, something else to add to our plate. Didn't really see it as an operating system, felt it was going to just add more and add more. And after the meeting and the discussion that we had, I realized this is going to take that plate and really make it simplify that plate for me. It's going to take it and put it in compartments that it needs to be in. And we have really utilized that and put those things into place. And so having something, we talked about organizational charts, but it's different than an accountability chart, and having all these different tools available to us, and the team now on after the rollout, hearing all of the same language from them, it has become really, John calls it a game changer for us. The team
Yeah.
is on board. The followed by all, the shared by all of those things really have made a big impact on what we're doing in the office. Communication has improved.
Mm.
Just the whole morale around the office has changed, just because we're all on the same page. We're all rowing in the same direction. It has made a really big difference on just the team itself.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Getting the visual here of like all the arrows are now pointed in the same direction. And that is key. And it's the key here is the same page. We call it one vision, one voice, one team. And y'all have
Mhm.
actually been able to experience that firsthand. And so let's rewind a little bit, and even each quarter, I would say there's been significant growth each quarter in y'all's company. But let's rewind to what your company was like, and even the leadership team. What was Selah Financial Services like before EOS? Because y'all were a great, good company on the head in the right direction. And then we can talk about, what has it been like, but after EOS, right? What have been some of those benefits?
Yeah. So I guess I'll talk a little about before. To your point, we've had a really healthy leader team, especially on the leadership level. We've had To your point earlier, Charlie, I love that we were working on a couple of operating systems instead of committing to a single operating system. So we had a rhythm of quarterly offsites already, in which it was myself, Sharon, and Tommy, one of our other owners. We would go offsite. We would talk about what we wanted, what our challenges and opportunities were, and we would come back and we would have a discussion with the team, which EOS calls the state of the company address. We would have a version of that, although not the same framework. We had a lot of that in place, but because it was multiple operating systems, we were just kind of every quarter, every year was slightly different or nuance changing versus in the EOS framework, it's been very much the same thing, predictable. The team knows what to do. But prior to, so that was a little before we had some of that framework. We did have a strong leadership team in place. We had a really strong team in place, although we had some weaker team players at the moment, at that moment in time. And the real thing that I think of pre-EOS is I love, Carolyn, that you mentioned feeling being open and honest about feeling like, oh, great, here's another idea John has, and I've got enough on
Yeah.
my plate. I'm too busy. But that
Yeah.
was what we struggled with. It was always busyness. We were always
Yeah.
busy. Um,
Oh, yes.
and when we got into EOS, there was an element of trust me. I'm the visionary. Sometimes I'm just going to say trust. Carolyn is great about that, and so is the leadership team and the team as a whole. But it was prioritization, it was busyness, it was effective communication. I think those were the three things we challenged ourselves the most. I think back, this is quite a few years before EOS, but we struggled internally with team dynamics around this us versus them idea, in which the leadership team is kind of its own little entity. And we're dictating to the greater team what's to happen instead of having a mutual shared respect and ownership.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Dude.
and while not true from a practical sense, but the emotional sense, I can see where the team felt that way. And I go post EOS. I mean, we had a state of the company yesterday, and to hear what they were saying in our state of a company, as a visionary, as a leader, I view it very important to have the team responsible for success as well, and
Yes.
allowing them to have a voice in the conversation. That's always been a guiding light for me, which made the us versus them very difficult for me to stomach as a leader.
Mm,
Um, but to hear their ownership yesterday in our state of the company was amazing. Their courage to give us growth edges
yeah.
was awesome because I can see, okay, well, we can now make that little tweak to our state of the company and make it an even better iteration.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that's really what's changed is now we know our priorities. At the leadership level, we know our priorities are the company rocks. Then it becomes our department rocks, and then it becomes the individual rocks.
Yeah.
At the team level, it's the department rock, then it's an individual rock. We've really learned that prioritization. We've unlocked the busyness because now we've turned busyness into strategic focus.
Mm,
That's
yes.
the real unlock. I think that's happened within our team. And the team loves just having that level of communication. They love the L10s once we got them rolled out to them. They desire and want that on a weekly
Yeah.
basis.
Yeah, the structure that the level 10 meeting provides, and it basically is a time to get together and we're going to focus on the most important priorities for the week and we're going to check to make sure we're on track for the priorities for the quarter. But I love this idea of there's a great book out there called The Coach Model. I actually sent that book to Sharon and it talks about Keith Webb is the author. It talks about ideas are like little children, others are nice but you like your own the best. And it's a funny little saying, and you think about kids, but it's like it's true, right? So when you have this us versus them, you're telling them what to do, and this is where we're going. Instead of we call that the shared with all versus the vision is now shared by all. And now they get to have a say in it, right? Just like the leadership team has to get to say in the vision. And now they have a part to play in their department. And you're exactly right. It's for the greater good of Selah Financial Services, for the greater good of the company, where do we need to go the next 90 days? And then that's the leadership team where the company rocks, and that's highest priority. And then you go to the next level, which is the department rocks, the departmental rocks, and then you have the individual. So love that. And another big key was the communication. And we kind of talked about that, but just having that common language. And I love to hear the people have courage now to speak up. When you remember we did the 90-minute meeting, I was explaining what is the issues component, and it's really just saying we have courage to say there's an issue or there's a better way to do something or I'm really close to this problem, so I think I might have a couple ideas. Would you be open to hearing it? And it sounds like you're at a place now where that not only is that welcomed, but it's actually being accepted, and there's no more us versus them. It's a unifying thing. Carolyn, capacity. When we first started, okay, and we did the accountability chart, and every single one of y'all had major capacity issues, and we have been slowly tackling that, but systematically, okay. But we have definitely been trying to attack that over the past year and a half or whatever. Just to John's point, he was saying busyness. One of the unlocks has been it's not just that we're busy, we have strategic focus. Any thoughts on the capacity and just your personal growth in that?
For the capacity, we really took the time to use the tools that EOS has, especially like the delegate and elevate, and took that and really not just did it as an exercise and just said, okay, we did it. Now what? We did it and we really sat with each other and said, okay, we need to get some of these things off of our plate in order for us to be able to move forward. And what is that going to look like? And so being able to use the delegate and elevate and do things like that has really changed how we're able to operate, and the things, the plate that were on our plate that didn't really need to be there. They were just sitting there because they didn't really have any other house. They didn't have anywhere else to go. We've been able to kind of say, this is where that belongs. This is where it's showing up on the accountability chart. This is where this needs to be. And so being able to do that as a leadership team first, and really understanding, where we were drowning and where we could use some support, was really important. And then it went down to, you see the delegate and elevates happening now in the verticals and within the other parts of the team, and seeing them being able to voice, I'm drowning here and this is what's happening, and being able to utilize those tools has really helped us figure out how to solve some of those capacity issues. They were just things that we just didn't have the tool to tackle and really figure out what to do with them.
Yes, yes. The capacity issue, I mean, that is a very common issue. So like, I'm going to let John speak into this, but the more leadership teams I talk to, it's almost like that is a guaranteed, oh, we're always busy. We always have capacity. It's just the world that we live in. So again, the delegate and elevate tool, really embracing the tool before you teach it, and encourage those below you to try it. You need to model it and do it yourself. Leaders go first. John, any other thoughts? Because I know capacity has been tough. Everybody's wearing multiple seats, and just the accountability chart, this whole concept. You guys remember I said, to fix capacity, you have to fix right people in the right seat. And even we've been putting people issues on the issues list. We finally have been attacking those in the past couple quarters a little bit differently. Just any thoughts on the capacity and just specifically that right person, right seat issue?
Yeah, I think it's that's an interesting question, Charlie, because when we went into EOS, so we're an interesting company in the sense of um Sharon is my mother and she founded the business. She
Yeah,
is that traditional visionary entrepreneur, come up with the idea right out of the gate, like out of thin air. She's that very much that traditional founder mentality. Um, and we were, I remember sitting in I guess it was Focus Day one, and we did accountability chart for the first time, and when we, as a leadership team, decided that I would be the visionary, not Sharon. Um, and my first gut was, but I'm not the founder. I'm not the entrepreneur. I'm more of an intrapreneur.
yeah,
And we spent a lot. I mean, we probably spent a quarter talking about, am I in the right seat? Is
yeah,
Carolyn in the right seat? I mean, Carolyn was new to our company. You had only been here, what, Carolyn, 3 years at that point in time. And still learning financial services. She's not from this business. She came from Mother's Day Out business world, dealing with moms and teachers and preschoolers. And we spent a lot of time thinking through, are we in the right seats, and talking
yeah,
about it. And we did the elevate and delegate, really worked on those capacities. And we realized that in the visionary, I was supposed to be the visionary, and I am the visionary. And I've really grasp that, and becoming the visionary, understanding my roles and responsibilities has helped me delegate down into the integrator space. Um, when Sharon operated as our visionary, not the word we used at the time, I was her integrator. So I'm kind of that I have been in that role for the last probably 6 or 7 years in our company. While not on EOS, we didn't know that's what it was called. It
yeah,
was the get it done, make sure that
yeah,
everybody was I was
yeah,
executing what Sharon wanted. So I vacated that seat into the visionary. Carolyn then filled my seat as an integrator, which has been awesome because we've been able to work together on Carolyn's growth. I've been able to mentor her in that process, and Sharon likewise has mentored me as a visionary. Um, but I think through the capacity question, which I haven't even answered yet, Charlie, sorry. Uh,
Visionary. It's okay.
yeah, visionary. I do what I want now. I think the big thing about capacity was we became aware of what we're supposed to be doing and how do we
Yes.
get off the things we're not supposed to be doing, and to then trust the people you have delegated to. And a lot of that trust has really come from, one is effective communication. You share, or Carolyn and I meeting every week for our same page, whether I'm on the road or not. It could just be a phone call that week, but that constant weekly, like, how can I be better as an integrator? What do you need me out of me as a visionary? Um, that communication, that commitment to communication has helped her capacity as an integrator, because the stronger she is as an integrator, the more capacity she generates for those underneath of her. And as she creates capacity within our leadership team, they're creating capacity underneath of them through the power of
Yes.
delegation.
Wow.
Um, and that's really, um, I think, where we've really unlocked the capacity issue. A lot of our capacity too comes from the fact that I do wear multiple hats. I sit down within our technical services vertical as a financial advisor. So I have to operate as any other team member does
Yeah.
on our team. I have to attend an L10, not as a visionary, but as a financial advisor.
Yeah.
And that when I'm in that seat, I have to operate in that capacity. So I don't speak over our department lead, Tommy. I don't. I function purely as a financial advisor, but I can do an elevate and delegate for each of the roles and figure out how can I get the things that I'm not the best in the world at off and allow somebody else who is to succeed.
Yes. And the key here is true leadership is about effective prioritization and effective delegation. And that is a skill that takes lots of practice and time to get reps in it. And Carolyn, even you're in two seats too. So like we've been able to create more organizational clarity, but now everybody knows who is accountable for what and who reports to who. So, what are the correct channels of communication? I love what you're saying about the same page because there's a quote which y'all remember. We know we've been talking about this. As goes the leadership team, so goes the company. So that's where it's really important to come together, to be healthy, to be working together well as a leadership team. But the quote that I like to take it a little notch further is to say, as goes the visionary integrator relationship, so goes the leadership team. Because in a sense, y'all are the leadership team of the leadership team. You're the leaders of the leaders. So I'm going to open it up to Carolyn just about how powerful has it been y'all's relationship and seeing the growth, doing the dance, and specifically that same page meeting, because there has been a tremendous amount of growth of you stepping up, growing in your confidence, John delegating and trusting you and say, remember, integrator gets the last word, and John not politicking, right? We're not like over speaking. So just any thoughts on that with y'all's dynamic and y'all's relationship?
Go ahead, Carolyn. You start.
No, we, it's been interesting. It's taken on a role that John was previously filling has been a challenge, and not a challenge because he hasn't wanted to let go, but a challenge just because of how do I make this role mine, and it's probably for him too. How does he make the visionary role his when
Yeah.
we've had people in those roles ahead of us and now that are still part of the team that, and especially part of the leadership team that we interact with daily. We're doing these things all the time with them. So for me and John, I think that same page has really allowed us to communicate and understand where we are in our roles. And so when we'll be talking about something, I'm like, is that really my integrator seat? And is that really his vision? Is that what we're talking about? Is that what we're looking at? And so we will even have those discussions is, did we approach this? Did you look at that more as an integrator or as a visionary? And are we kind of overlapping each other on this? And so for us to get on the same page before we meet with everyone else on the leadership team and understand where we are coming from, John can explain something, Carolyn's going to integrate it this way, has been really helpful so that they see the process that's been taking place behind, with me and John, because it's really hard not to just continuously turn to John because John has been the spearhead of everything. And so trying to fill those voids that are there and trying to have the leadership team now kind of interact differently, not going straight to John, but going to me and before they hit John has been really interesting to see them navigate. And so I know John has had plenty of times where his people go to his office and he's like, I don't know, go ask Carolyn, or, those type of things because
Delegate, right?
he's
Right.
delegating it back down because that's where it used to go to. And so me and John being on the same page of, he's been really good at not just saying, well, I'll handle it because, and then I'll let Carolyn know, or I'll do this. He's been really good about pushing it down to me. He's given me more confidence about the decision making when he allows things like that to happen. So I feel like it's really helped us grow and really helped me with my confidence, really helped me
Yes.
with just having confidence in the decisions that I'm making, because I do have a person who was making those ahead of me that I got to see
Yeah.
and could go, this is kind of how he would make these decisions. And I really appreciate that. We could have used this and let it be a almost like a crutch for us of, we're or a sore point of he's in this role and now I'm in it and he's going to overstep me. But we've actually utilized it in a positive way to where
Yeah.
he's been able to mentor in this role. So
Mm.
it hasn't been rough. I mean, it's been rough just trying to figure things out, but it hasn't been rough as far as our dynamic working together.
I
Yeah,
think
it's not a
visionary.
crutch, it's a springboard, right? You've been using
Right.
as a building block. Yeah, John, what about your thoughts?
Yeah, I think, from a visionary seat, what's super interesting is, and I talked a little about it earlier, Charlie. Like I've been here a while. I've had roles as a team member, roles as what we now know as an integrator, and now in this role of a visionary. And as a team member and as an integrator, Sharon being our original visionary, like she had all these ideas. She was always having these new ideas. And as a team member, I'd be like, oh, she came back from a conference. Here's 13 new ideas. It was
Yeah.
overwhelming as a team member. And then
Yeah.
you know, and now having the same page meeting, understanding EOS. And as a visionary, I go to Carolyn now. I don't dump all my ideas on the entire team. I have a weekly way to communicate to somebody all my crazy ideas. How many times, Carolyn, do I come in and be like, I had this weird idea last night? I,
Yeah.
I'm in her office almost every day with some new idea in a very powerful, healthy, VI visionary integrator relationship and dynamic. Like the picture that always comes to my mind is in scuba diving, you have a regulator that takes the high pressured capacity of that tank and downshifts it into an air in which we can breathe as humans at the right air pressure.
Mm,
And that regulator is critical to allow a scuba diver to stay underwater and to stay alive and to be successful in whatever they're trying to do. I am the tank. I have crazy ideas. I'm always thinking tanks. I always have high pressure. I always want to grow. I'm always wanting to do something else. Carolyn is an amazing regulator. She
yeah.
knows when to let the right amount of air out to the team so that they can take it in small chunks, absorb it, and we can move faster, farther to where we're trying to go. I mean,
Mm,
just the other day in our quarterly offsite, I mean, Charlie, you were there. We had a tense moment between Carolyn and I.
yeah.
Um, and in that moment, I had this visionary idea of where we wanted to go. Like I see the end result, and it's critically important for our company to get there. And I just wanted to do it today. And Carolyn, very appropriately, because we have that healthy relationship, she was able to stand up and say, "No, John, like our team cannot absorb it at that capacity right now. We need to downshift it. We need to regulate now.
Yeah.
We can still
Yeah.
make progress towards that step because I agree that is where we need to go. But how do we down regulate so that we can get it absorbed in the team? Because our team absorbing it is more important than getting there faster."
Yes. Yeah.
And
Wow.
it was tense because I had to realize what my integrator was trying to communicate to me as a visionary. But once we were able to communicate that and I took a step back and stopped politicking, I realized my integrator played the most powerful part in that whole decision process. She regulated my high capacity idea in a way in which our team would take it in so that we could have ultimate success. And I think
Yes.
that's where the same page meeting allows us to build that relationship and that communication and that mutual respect that we can have those moments and yet know what each of our roles are. And we have now turned that conversation, which was tense, into a learning moment. And Carolyn, I think we've talked about that one incident and our lessons and how we can grow as a VI relationship
Mhm.
probably every 3 days since then. And that was probably
Mhm.
about 2.5, 3 weeks ago. And we have turned it into this, like, I think it's one of the most powerful moments we've had yet on EOS. It is that
Yeah.
moment where Carolyn has been an amazing integrator to my visionary idea.
She's
Um,
regulating, right? She's been
that's
regulating and bringing it back down. Yes, well
it's,
done. I mean, yeah, it
it's
was an
amazing
intense
to watch.
moment, but because you have the relationship on trust and remember, not predictive trust, vulnerability based trust. You love each other, so you're gonna enter the danger and say the hard truth. And you're not gonna worry about how it's gonna come off because you know for the greater good, this is what we need to do. And you honoring that opportunity to say she's the integrator. She does get the final say, right? When it's like we're not sure because she's regulating. She has that and taking a pause and then coming back together and not just sweeping it under the rug, but bringing it, entering right back into the danger with courage, humility, and wisdom. I mean, yeah, that was awesome. It was a beautiful moment to see the power of trust and the power of what you guys have built. And it kind of relates to I wanted to ask you all about the big picture here of what EOS does is helps with vision, traction, healthy. And the vision is where you're going and how you're going to get there, right? Traction is about focus. It's about the discipline to stay focused. It's about having true accountability. And as a result, you get high execution on the right direction. But the healthy is something that, again, y'all were already healthy, but you have taken it to a whole nother level. So I just want to invite y'all in to think about vision, traction, healthy. How do those three words describe some of the results that you've experienced?
Vision, traction, healthy. I think for me, as a visionary, I've been very passionate about our business and very passionate about taking care of our clients, and our team. Um, and as I think through EOS, you know, we've, as we've kind of rolled it out, it had, we committed to as a leadership team, we did it internally, just 5 people, for probably 6 months, 9 months. I think we did 9 months. Um, and then we rolled out the idea to the team without anything other than we're doing this new thing, but nothing new for you guys yet. And then a quarter later, so we've been like kind of rolling out new ideas and new elements of EOS every quarter. And over the last quarter, one of the things that we realized was on the vision, specifically on the vision side, because that's where as a visionary, I'm the most passionate about. On the traction side, I believe if we're doing our L10s, we're doing so those are our weekly meetings. Uh, Carolyn and I are doing our same pages. Our departments are doing their L10s. Like I believe the traction takes care of itself through implementation of the operating system.
Yeah.
And as a visionary, I tend to live in the vision space. And I realize that we talk about our vision traction organizer on a quarterly basis, but there's no not ingrainment, that's too strong a
Keeping
word.
it top of mind.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's not keeping it top of mind. And so I had the idea, and the leadership team and Carolyn were all in on it, but we integrate now our vision traction organizer into every L10, and we
Yeah.
discuss a different element. And now, and we've been doing that for Carolyn a quarter, maybe two now. I think it's been a quarter. And now I'm hearing the team use words that sit on our VTO that they've never used before.
Yeah. Wow.
And in
Mm.
spite some of those words being on our wall in
Yeah.
terms of our
Yeah.
mission, right? Like now they see it every morning, yet they weren't using the words. And now I'll sit in
Yeah.
a meeting and I'll hear, one of my financial advisors say, well, what really makes us unique is that we enjoy doing the math, or that we want to empower you to make an informed decision. Words that we've all known, but I haven't heard utilized. And
Yes.
in my role as a visionary, and really making sure that vision is driving, um, I think for me that's been really the biggest win, the in
Wow.
terms of getting stronger in that vision traction. But that
Yeah.
vision doesn't happen. I love in the EOS model that those two sit on opposite sides of the model.
Yeah.
Yeah. And at the top, you got traction at the bottom. So your vision can't really come if it's not shared by all, but you have the traction has allowed us to actually get
Mm,
is shared by all through the L10, the meeting pulse elements, the state of the company addresses, and
yes.
to hear our team do core value call-ups during our state of the company yesterday, and hearing one team member say to another team member, like he really embraced continuous learning by doing these things, or having a
Yep.
heart by making sure their team member was taken care of. Like to me as a visionary, like those are the moments that is why we are committed to US moving forward, quite honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. So for those interested in connecting and reaching out, this team has done a phenomenal job. Again, everybody rolls out EOS at a different speed, at a different depth. And y'all have done a very good job of this whole idea of mastery. So competence and confidence in learning the five foundational tools, the VTO, the accountability chart, rocks, the meeting pulse, and then the scorecard, getting really solid as a leadership team unit first, and then starting to roll it out to the second and third levels of the organization. So if you're interested in EOS rollout, I'm sure John or Carolyn will be more than happy to reach out to you. Carolyn, let me open it up to you real quick, and then we're going to do some rapid fire questions to wrap up our session today. But the vision, traction, healthy. Is there any one of those words that stick out particularly to you in terms of the results that y'all have seen?
I think the traction part, I mean, as John said, he likes that it sits at the opposite end of the vision. And I look at that too. I see it as a wheel, and
Yeah,
at the bottom is the traction. And if you're not getting traction, you're not going, you're just going to be spinning your wheels doing nothing. And so
yeah,
to get that traction and to get it actually moving and seeing that wheel spinning and seeing everything take action has really been exciting. And it's really interesting because in the other four parts that fall within that, the EOS model, boy, if I think that's really what has generated all that traction. I mean, having those L10 meetings, having the right people in the right seats, having, the data, I think that has been really a big game changer for us. Those scorecards and the measurables, it seems like the team thrives off of those type of things. And so having
yeah,
all those things in place has really had the traction start out. And we felt it within the leadership team. And now that the rest of the team is operating on L10s and different things like that, we really see that traction start spinning and it's starting to move a lot faster. And so
yes.
that's really been exciting to see.
Yeah, I love that. I didn't even think about that with the other four elements. Those, all of them combined through traction allow the vision to be realized even more. That's powerful visual, and it is a wheel. So we're gonna wrap up today with some rapid fire questions. So just go with your gut, don't overthink it. But what has been like one of your proudest moments with EOS so far? Is there a particular moment? And what I like to hear from both of you again, just rapid fire.
Go ahead. Are you need me to go
Thanks.
first, Carolyn?
Yeah, go ahead.
My proudest moment is when I sitting in yesterday's SOCA, state of the company address, and just at the very end, so we created an agenda similar to the L10 for our state of the company, with time bound, so it was predictable when we would end, and to hear the team um sit in that state of the company and how much they used to begrudge when we'd have these discussions, and now you hear them saying at the very end and conclude, we were saying, well, what could we do better, and to have them give us open feedback and knowing we were listening,
Yeah,
the trust that the team has in each other, but it's a combined trust, it's a combined effort. And I think I sat there just really proud yesterday listening to them have those conversations and embrace it, like we're the world is our oyster here. Like if we
yeah,
can continue to communicate and to have that trust amongst each other and respect. There's a lot
yes,
of respect. Everybody understands each of our roles are playing a critical part. Um, mean, we
Cool.
had one of our team members was a naysayer. I remember sitting in a rollout, and he's like, "I feel like we're just wasting the time. I'll just do whatever you tell me to do." And he sat there in the state of the company yesterday and says, "I just love knowing where we're going now."
Yes.
If
Wow.
he
Wow.
does not view it as a waste of time, it is
Yeah.
found the foundation for him. I
Yeah.
think that to me is where I'm just super proud of what that has become.
Yes. Beautiful. Beautiful. The power of the state of the company address and getting people on the same page. Carolyn, what about from your perspective? Has there been a moment that you just been, oh, that was really awesome. That was a really proud moment.
Um, I want to say just the people that we have in place over the verticals, the leadership team, and
Yeah.
them really embracing their roles with different things like that. Them gaining the confidence, them gaining the um, them rolling out their own L10s. I really feel like they have been game changers. So seeing them roll out their L10, seeing them tackle issues and just how trusting their verticals have been with them and just how
Yes.
open they've been has really been really exciting to see.
Yeah. Yeah. The leadership team has really taken on a new dynamic. So, favorite EOS tool? What you got? What's your favorite EOS tool or one of your favorites?
VTO,
The
vision
VTO.
vision traction organizer.
Visionary, loving the VTO. I love it. Carolyn, what about for you? Is there a particular tool that's been enjoyable for you that you've really gotten a lot of benefit from?
I like the accountability chart. I mean, I
Yeah.
really think that really helped us understand. We've had organizational charts before, we've had other things that have put us in different realms of stuff, but accountability, I think, has been even just the title of it has been a game changer for us.
Yeah.
Like, who's
Yeah.
accountable to who? Where does this
Yes.
sit? And so, accountability chart has been really something that we've been able to utilize and really see what's where we sit at, where how many hats were we wearing. I mean, it really opened up a lot of things for us.
Yeah.
I'm
And
gonna give a one
yeah.
B answer, Charlie.
Okay.
My favorite is the VTO, and I'm not changing that answer, but what's been the biggest game changer for our company has been the level 10 meeting.
Yeah.
Hands
Wow.
down, at the leadership level, at the department levels now, everybody thrives and they desire the L10. They know it's same day, same time, same agenda. It's always over at the same time. They have an avenue to raise issues. There's
Yes.
mutual
Yes.
accountability through the scorecard. Like
Yeah.
that has been that has been the number one game changer for our company.
Yeah. Yeah, people want that. They thrive off the structure. So somebody's sitting here listening to y'all's story and they're thinking, I wonder if they have any regrets. Like, if you could redo EOS, would you have done anything differently?
The one regret I have with EOS was when we first rolled it out to the team. I don't remember how I exactly rolled it out, but it wasn't the best decision. In that I should have rolled it out as a more of an I called it a rollout. Like they were going to be responsible for doing something. That's what it was. I called it an EOS rollout, and that they were going to have a takeaway action or they were going to have a responsibility to do something as a result of said rollout. Because typically, when in the past, when we said roll out, I would roll out a new idea and they would have marching orders and boom, they're off and running.
Yeah.
If I had to do it again, instead of calling it a rollout, because our initial step in the rollout was not to have them do anything. We just wanted to let them know what we were doing as a leadership team and that we were
Yes.
operating now that they could understand what weird things, these new weird things called L10s sit on all of our calendars at the leadership level, that to give them a clarity around it. So if I could, my one regret is to change the word from rollout to introduction.
Yeah.
That's my one regret is I wish I had picked up that word differential. Had we used introduction, we would have probably had a little bit more belief right out of the gate
Yeah.
versus a little bit of skepticism from the team. Like, I don't even know what this is. Like, I don't,
Yeah.
why do we spend 2 hours on this rollout? And I don't even know what I'm supposed to do with that. So
Yeah. And they're
I
like,
think
what are we
that's my
rolling
one.
out? right? Like, what
Yeah.
is this? And it's like you aren't rolling out anything. It's like, so introduction. I like that. Yeah. And almost thinking about like, it's the kickoff. This is kind of what we're doing. And so, but y'all have learned through the fire. Carolyn, say the same thing for you. Any regrets or anything you might have done differently?
That's funny because I was going to mention the rollout as well. That was kind of the little hiccup that we had. You could see some confusion. You could see a little, like you said, skepticism between people. And it was just that a little bit of a, just the, like me and John talked afterwards. We're like, what happened? Like,
Yeah.
how were we so excited? And the team just kind of fell flat a little bit today,
Yeah.
and I think that's what it was, is just the
The word.
rollout of something, just the wording of it makes a difference, and
Yeah.
so I think when we talked about it again, we kind of said, our introduction part 2 is what we kind of changed it to
Nice.
after
Yeah.
that. And it kind of let them know you're going to be learning something, but you're not going to be doing anything. And so that was a big help for them to not get apprehensive of, I'm going to go in here and have something to do right off the bat.
Yeah.
And so I think them just knowing what was coming, and just the title change of that would have been nice from the beginning. We just didn't see it until it actually happened. So
Yes. There's a business owner here that's watching this. They're curious about EOS. They're thinking about maybe starting it or having a conversation. What advice would you give them, John? And also, how can people that are interested in even in the financial services avenue, or they just want to hear more about a visionary, or they want to talk to you about something you said in this podcast, how can they get in contact with you in particular in y'all's website and what you guys are doing?
Yeah, so I'll answer first question, which I don't really remember what it was.
Advice.
Advice. I think if I was giving advice to somebody listening to this around EOS, I think the obvious one is to work with an implementer like yourself, Charlie. There's a lot of nuances here. Having somebody go before, I think, was super important for us
Yeah.
to have somebody to bounce ideas off of, to especially because there is a learning curve. Um, and the it's one thing to take black and white words out of a book, but real world's very different than a book sometimes.
Yeah.
There, there's personal relationships and dynamics that have to be navigated. Every company is unique, and having somebody who's had at bats knows what to look for and how to unlock those. And so that I when I talked about it at a conference I was at last week, I mean, that was the advice I gave everybody was you should have an implementer. You should be working with somebody who understands the dynamics. Um, and I think the other advice I gave all of them is just trust the process. Sometimes it'll seem a little weird, or it might, you're not ready for that discussion, and just they'll give it space and time to work out. And
Yeah.
like I talked to one company who's doing EOS at my conference, and they're a financial services company, and he said the biggest unlock for them were the core values. But it took them 18 months to develop their core values.
Wow. Yeah.
They went through a couple different iterations. We were very quick on it. We already generally had them in our minds.
Yeah.
Um, we didn't do, as we created our VTO, not a whole lot changed for us. We had a lot of that documented in
Yeah.
different words and nomenclatures, but we were pretty quick on that because we were very committed. We kept to the process though. We went open-minded. We didn't come with a pre-done answer. We
Yeah.
put all our ideas out. We did what is it? Kill, combine,
Keep, kill, combine. Yeah.
combine. We did that, and when we started combining things and killing ideas and keeping ideas, we actually came to something we already generally had.
Yeah.
But that other company, and they're the same way. We were sitting at a round table talking about EOS, and it was him and myself and another one, and a couple other advisors were asking about EOS because they're considering it, and all of us said you have to have an implementer. That is the best, fastest way to get EOS implemented
Mm.
is to have an implementer. In my business group, they carry the same mantra on to have an
Yeah.
implementer.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate your time today and for being here. And again, if somebody was in the financial services interested in working with y'all, or they're interested in learning more about EOS, what's the best way to get in contact with you, John? And then Carolyn, you'll get the last word today. Same question, advice, and how can people reach out to you?
Yeah, if they're wanting to reach out to me to talk through EOS or anything, they can email me at john.westerman@selahfs.com. It's also our website is selahfs.com, selahfs.com. And in there, you can find anybody on our team, shoot them an email. And we're happy to talk through EOS or anything. I love connecting with growth-minded people. I think you asked, where do we get our growth mindset from? We just believe in always getting better and finding people who want to always get better. I love connecting with those sorts of
Yeah,
individuals. It's
fantastic.
lonely at the top.
Yeah, yeah. And you can't do it by yourself, right? You need a team.
No.
So I'll put all those descriptions and y'all's contact information in the description below. Carolyn, for you, just to wrap up here, I mean, do you have any advice you'd give to somebody interested? And then how can people reach out to you specifically if they want to hear more about your journey?
Um, yeah, the advice, I agree with John. I think having an implementer is really important. We, you know, we keep talking about a launch pad and how we get from the next step into the next place. And I think we were on a launch pad ready to go. And I think if we would have tried to do this and tackle it on our own, I think we would have that launch pad would have probably seemed a little bit harder to get off of, just because it is. We would have had five different interpretations of what we read, based off of our leadership team, and then trying to put all those ideas together of what was actually being said in the book. I think having an implementer who can guide you and explain things and do things like that was super beneficial for us, because if we would have been left to our own devices, we're people, we have different opinions, we have different
Yeah,
takeaways. And so
yeah,
trying to think of what would have been the best thing to do next, or how to roll out first, and what to do and how to do these things, we probably would have had just different ideas of what would have been the better thing for us to do. And so
yeah,
using an implementer that helped us know where we were going, what we were doing, how to utilize the tools. Like I said, I think we've kind of had something that was a delegate and elevate, but it wasn't specific to how EOS is. And so
yeah,
we've tried different things. And I think having an implementer tell us this would be a good time to use this tool, this will be a good time to use this tool. And
yeah.
don't be afraid to tackle hard things. I think we've sat in some boxes before where we were like, I don't want to tackle that.
Yes,
But
yes,
utilize the EOS tools and
yeah,
really take advantage of what they're offering, because those things to tackle seemed a lot less dire, or a lot less scary, actually,
yeah.
once we started doing them and we used the tools that were there for us to use.
How
We
to be
kind
a
of put
great
some
boss,
things off
right?
just because of that. Yeah.
Yeah, that
So,
book has been so helpful with learning leadership, management, accountability. Yeah,
Hey,
yeah,
Charlie, real quick.
yeah,
I had a thought as I was listening to Carolyn, we both talk about having an implementer as our advice. And, you know, in this entire time together this morning, we've talked about all this success in terms of our team and communication, all that. And if I was a business owner sitting here listening, debating about EOS, and they're like, well, they're saying have an implementer. Well, they cost money. We haven't talked about the financial impact EOS has had on
yeah,
us. And that's on me. As a visionary, I am more driven about the impact I have on my community. Uh,
yeah,
and and I have a root belief that financials take care of themselves.
yeah,
But if I was a business owner, I'd be like, well, that's great. I'd like to make money. And I
yeah,
just, let those people who might be listening to our podcast today hear that we're 20% higher today than we were last year.
wow,
Gross revenue perspective. On a net revenue, we're 100% higher than we were last year.
mm, wow,
And and that's the impact. So yeah, we paid for implementer. You bet. I have made more money because I had an implementer
yeah,
than had wallowed around and spent my own dimes and tried to save a little bit of money. It would have been 2, 3 years down the road before we saw this level of success. It was the cheat code.
yeah.
Um, and
Interesting.
so while I didn't talk about the financial aspects, because for me as a visionary, I'm most driven by watching my team succeed, by watching our clients succeed, and the impact we have on our community. Um,
Yeah,
that's why most of my conversation has been around that. But I don't want people to think for a minute we've been very successful financially as a
Yeah.
result, more so than we have been the last few years.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that because people do think about it. Oh, EOS is a cost, and it's like, no, it is an
That's
investment, and you get a return on an investment, and the return is 20% growth, 100% for your net profit. I mean, and the fact is you guys could have done this by yourself. You're very capable, going back to what we talked about at the beginning, but you will go further, faster, with more depth. And here's the thing, if you don't get value, it's a free session. There's no contracts, no upfront engagements. You can fire me at any time. It's like looking at me as your cheapest annual employee, cheapest employee, and I'm going to add 20% growth to that, opportunity for profit. So, yeah, just a phenomenal understanding there. It is an investment, and I think that will be something that people aren't sure about, and it's like, well, do you want to do it yourself, or do you want to hire a personal trainer? And it's like,
yeah.
well,
To me, it's an investment of money, time, and energy.
yeah.
I my business coach. I have a business coach outside of BOS, and he often talks about money, time, and energy. And so we invested money, time, and energy into EOS, and the expected result is we get more money, time, and energy out the back end. And I can sit here and tell you I do. I have been on the
Yeah,
road more this year for family travel than I've ever been in my life.
yeah,
Um, I, one of my seats as a visionary is core strategic relationships. I have been on the road taking care of our relationships. Um, with key vendors. And I have been able to attend every one of my kids' sports games, whereas
yeah,
I've missed a few here and there because I've had to have a client meeting or needed to work on something strategic. So yeah, we invest in money, time, and energy, but we have come out the back end with a lot more money, time, and energy. And not
yeah,
just myself, our entire team has more money,
yeah.
time, and energy.
Wow. Well, y'all are awesome. I really appreciate y'all being open and honest and letting others hear your story. And there's so much more to go, right? So much more to go to the legacy and the impact, the generational impact within this family business that y'all are creating. And I just want to say thank you for your time today. Carolyn, again, if somebody wants to reach out to you, what's the best and quickest way to do that? If they're another integrator and they want to learn from you, how could they reach you?
Yeah, my email is going to be the best way to reach out to me as well. It's carolyn.harrington@selahfs.com.
Okay, and I'll put that in the description. Well, listen, thank you again for y'all's time. If you're interested at all in connecting with either of them, I would highly encourage you to do that, especially if you're a business owner, a visionary, an integrator, or if you're in the financial services industry and you want to know how to get more out of your company. Please reach out to this amazing company and this amazing visionary and integrator. And if you're curious about running on EOS with an implementer, I'd love to talk to you. But may God bless you. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you next time. Right.